Welcome to the City of Caldwell podcast. We have Joanna Bartrop, the executive assistant to the mayor, Jerem Wagner, joining us today. And we wanted to actually bring up something that gets kind of confused sometimes. The youth master plan and the mayor's youth advisory council. Sometimes you'll hear MIAC or you'll see MIAC. And I think some of the employees here at the city kind of mix it up. I have a hard time being able to tell the difference between one or the other, or just articulate what each of them are. So today we're just going to talk about that, and we'd love to just let people know what one is, what the other one is. Joanna is the chair to the Youth Master Plan. So first, Joanna, tell us who you are, where you're from, why you're here.
Of course. So I was born and raised in Middleton, K through 12, and graduated from Middleton High School, but moved to Caldwell right after high school. So I have been a resident for 30 years. Married my high school sweetheart, been married 29 years, one child, 2 grandkids. Very familiar with this area, and I love it. We'll never leave. These are where our roots are. I have a 30-year background in healthcare. New to the city of Caldwell as of November of last year. As you mentioned, the mayor's assistant and the chair of the Youth Master Plan. Deeply care about kids and their well-being and what they're up to and where they're going and how they're getting there and all of those things combined.
Okay. Can you tell us what the Youth Master Plan is? What is it?
The Youth Master Plan is a committee of community leaders, different organizations who come together. We meet quarterly and we discuss all things youth, how we can make a difference in the community, what we can do to help change it. We try at least to have one big service project a year. This year we happen to be adding a sensory room to Lincoln Elementary so that all elementary schools here in the Caldwell School District have a sensory room for the children. And we also have youth forums for the high school kids where a handful of students are selected from each school to go on different forum trips to Bogus Basin or College of Idaho or whatever the forum happens to be that year. Take them to Bogus Basin to do a ski school so they can go and learn about the elements, get out of the school environment for a day, meet other kids from different schools, engage with them, to talk about the issues that are happening in their school and to find out that there's the same issues at the other schools and how they can help make a change. They are leaders, and the teachers and the counselors at the school see them as potential leaders.
Right.
And they want to help guide them and encourage them, build their self-esteem, and help lead them in the right direction.
So let me describe what would you describe the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council as? I'm interested because the mayor and I were the main advisors currently for it, and I'm always interested to see what other people think that the Mayor's Youth is.
It is, in my opinion, a group that meets during the school year, twice a month, I believe. It is, anyone is welcome. Right? I believe it's 8th grade through 12th grade, and the group gets together and does community projects, team building activities, that kind of thing. And then it actually has a committee, or no, a student committee, a chair committee.
Executive committee.
Thank you.
Same thing.
Thank you. And yeah, so it's much more structured, I feel like, versus the youth forum, where the students are invited to attend. So that's a huge difference between the two, in my opinion.
I think you did a great job. I think in the church world, I come from I worked on a couple church staffs, and in the church world, I would consider the youth master plan, specifically the youth forum, to be kind of like the church retreat or the church camp. They go off. There was a lot of planning into like programming. There is structure as far as that goes, but as far as the students are concerned, they're invited to this thing, and they may or may not really know much of the people who are running it or putting it on. Yes, their school counselor is going, so they may have a relationship built with that person possibly, but as far as the mayor's youth advisory council, I consider that to be more like your youth group, where the mayor and I were going to be there pretty much every time. The kids will get to know us, we get to know them. For example, if one of the leaders at the youth forum, you probably have access to the counselors who have access to the kids' info.
Right.
But it's not like, hey, let me just go ahead and text this kid really quickly. Whereas for me, it's kind of like, oh, hey, we haven't seen so-and-so in a while, or hey, that person's being recognized for this cool NASA internship. Can you get in touch with them? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh yeah, sure. Let me go ahead and text them or call them or email them. So the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council, you're right. We currently meet the first and third Wednesdays during the school year from September to May. And you're right. There's some kids in the youth forum can attend or come to MIAC and be a part of it. There is no cost. Students do not have to be a Caldwell resident or live in Caldwell at all. We do have some students from Middleton, from Nampa, come all over, mostly Caldwell. But there are community service projects that we get involved in. We do, most recently, Caldwell Rocks and the Caldwell Fine Arts and the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council. They're trying to get the Caldwell Rocks back going. The Caldwell Rocks being these affirmation rocks that go and hide throughout the community, and maybe somebody's down and out and they just need a little bit of
pick me up
for the day, a little sparkle in their day. And currently they're actually doing a project where they're putting a dragon out. I don't know when this is airing, but it might be out. It might be out already. Where near the plaza, there's like musical. There, they're gonna put a dragon. It's a rock dragon. For the community. So stuff like that the mayor's youth can get involved in. There's a couple trips every single year. There's the Washington D.C. one. So in October we'll take 5 or 6 students to D.C. and they don't pay for anything. And the mayor's youth actually, most if not all the money it's from their fundraisers. So it's not really taking money from the city. Some people think that it is, and so we do pay for through their fundraisers. It does pay for their trips to DC. We do a white paper, so the students actually get to, because it's student led, they get to present an issue at the federal level to one of our senators' offices. And we don't really do a conference. Some other MIACs go over there to a conference, and I love our mayor because he was like, why would we go there and sit in a conference all day when the kids are just itching probably to go check out the town? So that's what we do. We go to different museums, different memorials. Some of the students this year want to go to George Washington University and check that out.
Oh, that'll be
so we'll let them go. This past spring, we do have a spring trip. So that's more of a less exclusive. Took 30 students last year to Silverwood, as you got to do our receipts that we had to budget in. But I went to Gonzaga University, did a tour there. We got to go to Coeur d'Alene and check out their mayor's office, and they kind of told us how their city's run, some of the issues they have. Went to Silverwood for the day. Other things we do, another thing is, a great perk is the mayor is there with the students. He loves the youth. And if some of the students have an idea, they can bring it up to him, and he could say, hey, yeah, that isn't realistic, or that is, hey, actually that's a great idea, let me talk to the right people to get it going, to set it in motion. So I think that's the main thing that I think people need to know. What's great about our group this year is it's pretty diverse. There's like 14 schools represented and counting. We have about 40 or 50 core students who show up and participate. We've lost a couple of them because they graduated, but
including homeschooled children too, right?
So some of those are homeschoolers are some of our most key students that we actually have. So, whereas the youth master plan, the youth forum, I think that kind of focuses a little bit more on a couple schools. It's not like you're trying to exclude schools.
Sure.
You put the invite for a lot of different schools out here, but it's mainly a few of them that actually are
reach out,
take you up on the offer, right?
Yep. And another thing I want to point out that MIAC does, like I mentioned before, is a lot of community work, right? So a lot of the Caldwell Cleanup Day, all of those types of things. And also want to include that the mayor also is on the roster for the youth master plan as a committee member. So he's invited to all of our meetings, and if he is able to attend, he will, just to kind of see what we're doing and how we're doing it. And we also fundraise if we're able to, and that's where we can use what money we're able to fundraise to provide that sensory room for Lincoln Elementary this year and different things. So I hope that helps people understand the difference between the two. Whereas Youth Forum are kids that are invited to attend, who have the potential to be great leaders. Maybe they don't see it in themselves. They just need that little boost of, yes, you can do it. You are going to be a great leader. You have that in you. Just need a little self-esteem boost. And MIAC is just, everyone's welcome. Come aboard. And they can come to a few meetings, and if they feel like it's not for them, they're not obligated, right? It's not a requirement.
Come as long as you want to come.
Right?
So.
But most of them end up staying because that's a pretty cool thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing I've seen too is I've gotten to know some of the other MIACs across and some of them actually don't allow 8th graders for whatever reason. Maybe just they haven't really thought of it. But we do, in our bylaws, it does include 8th graders. We haven't really had very many, to my knowledge, before last year. But I think the right 8th graders are actually a good fit because personally, coming from like next gen youth, kids ministry kind of background, I like the fact that 8th grade to 9th grade is kind of a big transition for some students.
Absolutely.
There are schools here like Elevate and a couple other ones where you go from their middle school to their high school aged, grades, but there's some schools like the Syringas, like the Jeffersons, where you go from one school, the junior high, to the high school now. So it's a new school, new environment. You might have a new set of friends, maybe. And I feel like MIAC allows students who are 8th grade and 9th grade to have a little more consistency because, you make some friends as an 8th grader, and those will be the same kind of friends and you'll have going into 9th grade.
Right.
Potentially. But yeah, to your point, volunteer stuff is a big part of what we do. I think a lot of our students get their volunteer hours through helping the different causes and projects that MIAC does. We do have subcommittees too. We've gotten to the point where we're big enough to let the students kind of break off and go after the issues that they want to. So education is a big one. Health and wellness specifically wants to help with getting kids out of the house, mental health awareness, that kind of stuff. There's an art committee, arts and fine arts. They're the big ones pushing the rocks that we're doing, and they did a poetry night recently. And then there's it's a newer one, it's walkability and bike paths. They want to see just the trails and the bike paths kind of link up and be more usable around town. So anyways, so Joanna, the Family Fun Day is part of the Youth Master Plan, right? So can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, of course. So the Youth Master Plan has a subcommittee called the Caldwell Youth Forum. And that Youth Forum kind of breaks off into a couple different areas, and one of those being Caldwell Family Fun Day. And we just had the 9th annual, and it's held every year on Free Fishing Day. And the reason why that day was selected was because Family Fun Day was held at Wittenberger Park, right by the Rotary Pond. And we would have a fishing derby in addition to vendors at the parks where they could set up and they would have a activity for each child, giveaways, swag, bounce houses, all kinds of fun things. However, due to the height of the water in the river, flooding the park, and it's hazardous for kids, we changed the location for 2023. So we were at Seabury and Serenity Parks, which are right by the Caldwell Public Library. And that's where the 2023 location was held. And it was a hit. So several vendors are every year. They're excited, ready to go, looking forward to Family Fun Day. And it's an event that mainly focuses on the children, right? We want the kids to get out and about, have fun, outdoors, and the families are also invited to come along, bring the kids. We offer a free lunch every year. This year we served just over 500 lunches. So we're looking at about 600 lunches next year. My personal goal is to build it so we're serving up to 1,000 lunches. Nice. Is what I would love to do. We have so many activities for the kids. We have, like I mentioned, the bounce houses. We have the big bubble balls. We have a fishing, casting, just kind of a school where the kids can go and learn how to cast a fishing pole and that kind of thing. We have Caldwell Fire comes out. They have a little obstacle course for the kids, and they can actually shoot water with the fire hose. All the vendors that come to the event, everything is free. So they usually have a little game for the kids, whether it be cornhole or whatever their little activity is. And then they give something away at their booth. So whether that be a Frisbee, a popsicle, a piece of candy, a notepad, a bouncy ball, whatever it is, everything at the entire event is free. And we do that so that more families are encouraged to get up, get outside, see what's available in your community.
Right.
There's a lot of resources at Family Fun Day. So if a family's looking for counseling, daycare, after school programs, they can pick up pamphlets from all of these vendors and get really great information and hopefully help answer the questions for information that they've been looking for.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a great event. So
thank you so much for just chatting with me and letting people know the difference between, again, the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council, MIAC, and the Youth Master Plan. And again, there's those subcommittees of the Youth Forum, the Family Fun Day, all that. So thank you so much, Joanna.
Thank you.